Good morning, or yes, good morning. This is AAA Wargaming, so another battle report from the Art of War. This is going to be game number two, and I'd had a really good success in the first one against Martin Brolly's Syrian Ancients and won 14-6, but that meant I was going up into the heady heights of the top tables where I never normally am. And who did I get drawn against? Hugh Scarlin and his Demon Legions. I think when I saw that come up on Tawny Keeper, for those who are Blackadder aficionados, I think I said it rhymes with Clucking Bell to a friend. But it was going to be King of the Hill, so you choose two scenery objectives, one that are not completely inside your terrain, so depending on the board, it can be quite advantageous. And the deployment was marching columns, which is where you pick a side, you deploy 3 units, and then you can drop. I was a bit. I don't play Demon Legions often, so I was. It's only what I can see on battle reports, and it's so confusing. I mean, just some of the rules that they've got, and I don't think I could keep up. And what I should have done, or what I wanted to do, was try and keep a very simple game plan and just try and, if necessary, try and take the objective because I thought I had an advantage there, when especially when you look at the list. But I actually think the opposite is true in reality. But anyway, so here's my game. I thought the key ones that I was going to have to bring out were the Dried Ancient Divination. This is what I brought it in for, and I was really hopeful. But also the Blade Dancers to hold things up, and the Sentinels themselves with the Heath Hunters, because Heath Hunters against demon stuff is actually can actually be quite good because it's just a 5 pages. They can get close, they can move around, especially if they use well. And the Sentinels just hunting for sixes can be an absolute disaster for any greater demons. So those are the big things that I was going for this game. When you look at his list, though, he's got a classic Vandra Scouser Apprentice, but he's got Dark Hide, so it scouts. Admittedly in his deployment zone, but that's irrelevant. It's still scouting, so I have no idea where it's going to be dropped if he goes first. And then got the Courtesan, so really quick, don't let it get in your flank. And his Wizard Adept with Witchcraft, with Iron Husk, Red 6, and another Dark Hide. I still don't quite understand what Greater Dominion is. I need to read this in depth more often, but I play Demon Legion so little. Maybe we're planning on going to the team tournament in Walsall in May. I probably should read it for that because I imagine Demon Legions is going to be quite relevant, seems it's one of the top armies, or is the top army at the moment. He's then got 4 scoring units between mixed with Myrmidons and Succubi. I actually prefer playing Myrmidons because they don't get +1 to hit and they haven't got lots of attacks, because otherwise just Sylvanels go over like dry grass to Succubi. If they get to strike before, you can kill a few of them. 7 Eidolons with a scout, shooting. So most of my army's not bothered apart from my Tree Fathers. And they've got a champion, so another bit of magic. 2 Blazing Glories, so at least they've not got fly, but still very mobile, and they're just very dangerous, my Tree Fathers. And then 3 Clawed Fiends with champion, and 3 Veil Serpents with a champion, so that's a bit more magic there. So overall, very mobile, lots of scoring. So it was only after I thought he's actually got an advantage with scoring with this because he can split his forces quite a lot, and 2 big monsters that without the shooting I really haven't got an answer for. And unfortunately, Witchcraft with Twisted Effigy and Ravenswing, it's just going to be a nightmare to solve. But onto my spells. So I took Fate's Judgment and Stars Align. The reason for this was Fate's Judgment, I thought, could give him a bit of choice. And then with Stars Align, especially in combat, I can really start taking his units apart, just get rid of that Aegis save or the impact of it. And then with Healing Waters and Summer's Growth, I can keep my army alive. I thought I'm going to have to take a charge with this, with the speed he is, and then just try and hold them up. In terms of Demon Legions, I had they had Spectral Blades, Deceptive Glamour, Ravenswing. So Ravenswing was really in between Ravenswing and Twisted Effigy. Those are the ones I was going to have to choose which one to stop and when. And I think mentally I'd gone, yep, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold back a bit further so that he can't make me choose on the first turn between Ravenswing and Twisted Effigy. And I just stop Twisted Effigy and let him have his Ravenswing, so it doesn't affect me. Well, this is how the deployment worked, and I think what you've got to remember is that it's looking quite in terms of this. So you can see, say how this went. He won roll off, so he chose sides, and he chose this side because I think he'd picked out the impassable terrain. What then I did was I let him drop first, which was probably a mistake. I completely forgot about how many scouting units he had, and I just wanted to. I was happy sitting far enough back. I think I still hadn't lost a major point at this one. He started deploying from the left, and I went, okay, I'm going to deploy from my left so that he can start deploying that way. I can start deploying this way, noting that I picked this because I can got healing waters. I can use the trees to get up and then go for it, and I can choose the hill here. So what my plan was, I deployed Heath Hunters here. I then deployed these Heath Riders behind because what my plan was to, if he didn't want to play this flank, I was going to move up and they're easily mobile to get round to there using the Blade Dancers as the anchor point here. I then deployed the other Heath Hunters here and then he dropped. What I then did was lined up my army in front of him so that I gave him some really good movement in the turn one, and I completely forgot about mitigating Raven's Wing. So in my head, I was like, okay, strong center, big tree fathers and blade dancers to push this round and bring this round so I can get there and use these guys to hold it. But but my sentinels can't shoot that way, so I can't really focus fire that great. And I've now given myself a really difficult option when you look at scouting and movement because I've got two really big demons coming down at me straight away. So it wasn't great. I've made a mistake. And the Eidolons, this is before scout. This is after scout. So you can see where they're coming. So Eidolons are going to pick off this side. And this is after Vanguard. So I realized my mistake and I Vanguarded this way just to get out of the way. So that unit moves over to there and they move over just to give myself a bit of cover from his shooting. What I hadn't, and that was it. What I made the mistake is I put originally a tree father over here, and I think this would have made it a big difference because then he suddenly can't bring his big forces forward because I kept a bit of a zone. It just gives my shooting a bit more time to actually do something. But in essence, on his side, he had the Eidolons, a Blazing Glory, the Veil Serpents, the Clawed Fiends, one unit of Myrmidons, his Scourge, the Succubi so they can come for the objective or hold it, his Courtesan, another unit of Myrmidons, a Blazing Glory, and another unit of Myrmidons. So he's he's going to come up this flank. He's going to take this objective. And I think what I should have done is once he dropped, I should have realised because the only things I couldn't see with this and these two, I should have overloaded this flank and just accepted. Maybe put like the Forest Rangers here so that he can come forward. I can battle out in the centre, and then the Forest Rangers force himself onto position and just allow my shooting to whittle him down. Because otherwise, he can't bring his Courtesan and his Scourge on so quickly without the rest of his support. I mean, yes, the Myrmidons can get there, but by the time we're battling out for the objective at the end, I could have been in a much better position. I think this is a really big error on my behalf. So that's where I go. Instead, I put it out there for him. So that's what I would do if this again. Just deploy a bit more on the left-hand side, do a bit of a refuse flank, and just make sure I retain points and give my shooting some time to kill him off. As it was in turn one, that's where it looked very quickly, and it very quickly became a bit of a panic for me as well, because I was just scary. So I've got the Blazing Glory and Courtesan up here because I didn't put my tree far this side. I've got both Myrmidons and Succubi coming up. There's still the very long charges. He's got Witchcraft, so he can still minus my movement to make it even on a hill. It's bad. I think that's maybe why I did this. I thought, I can dominate the hill, when actually I should have used it to protect myself and just launched some of his, and just mitigated some of his combat power. He's got the Scourge, the Myrmidons, he's got the Claw Fiends here and the Spell Servant, just to make sure they're in range of stopping my shooting and magic here with Twisted Effigy. A Blazing Glory and the Eidolons are in range of there. So he's moved up very aggressively and the right thing to do. So he's not going to let me have a lot of shooting in this time. He's going to overwhelm my combat threats of Rangers, Tree Fathers and Blade Dancers. And he's just going to use his magic to mitigate my shooting, which he promptly does. So first spell, kills quite a few of them, causes a panic check, which they fail, and they run off the board. So that's one of my Heath Hunters gone. Luckily, both my other units passed their panic check, so that's a relief, but that's really not good at the starting. So I'm already having some problems on that flank with the Eidolon. So something that I should have been able to kill off quite quickly is going to cause me dramas. In my turn, I firstly, yes, it was this, but I had an 11 with a reroll off the hill into his Scourge, and I thought that's one way that I could do this. What I maybe should have done is just backed off a bit and just let him charge. At least then he'd have to bring in those two, and so I could shoot. But I failed the charge, and then what I did was then I just threw my sentinels out here to try and because I don't think I could have been able to get far enough away, or I'd have to go round the hill. But maybe that should have been the best option. So the alternative was move everything back, leave the forest rangers, and just try and buff them to give them a chance of going in, whilst I take some wounds off these guys. In other moves, I've moved all this army back up here. I just want to give him some options to try and come forward and just try and distract him. But again, I got it slightly wrong because what I should have done was left the forest rangers. Even if I'd done the forest rangers, let them charge, and I should have just set up the counter charges here. So if he had gone in, I could have countercharged and then really started doing some and just basically take some points off. So what I did here was not only did I give him a really, really good charge opportunity, I then didn't set up any counter charges for him in this. In other news, I moved the Heath Hunters up here, just start taking some shots off at his Blazing Glory, and the Heath Riders around here, so scoring unit just to keep them out of the way of the Eidolons. They got Twisted Effigy off on this unit here, so not only is it more difficult for my Druidism to cast spells, I actually can't I can't shoot with that unit either, so I can't take any wounds off the Scourge. I think I do on this side manage to take off a wound, and otherwise I managed to get a spell upon these guys, but it wasn't like Healing Waters, which would have been really useful. So I think that was something I should have aimed for. If anything, I don't think I got a single spell off. I certainly didn't get Fate's Judgment off on one of these two because I was actually out of range, even though there it was like 22, 23 inches, and I could have moved to get in range. I think I was just rushing it and just not making some very good decisions. So in Demon Legion's turn 2, this is what happened. So all his charges made it in. So these two were on a 10 or something. It wasn't, but the Scourge was easy. The Succubi not so much, but they both got in, and that's some very Dead Forest Rangers with my General's unit behind. Not clever. He also got his Scourge, his Courtesan and Blazing Glory in my Sentinels. So what that means here, he can just get them out of the way, and then he can start lining up in the flank if he gets good enough overrun. I've also, because these two are back here, it just means he can mop them up quite quickly because these aren't very maneuverable. One of the problems I think had uh, a problem over this tournament is these still aren't very mobile. So if you ever start having this front line of blade dancers or forest rangers or tree fathers break, they're in a bit of a situation. Otherwise, he's done nothing on this side, and as I say, he's left this movement here just to distract me in. He's not giving me any easy charges on the Blade Dancers or Tree Fathers, and that's where he's concentrating on wiping these two out. And then he's kept the Eidolons, so as long as they're in range of the Heath Riders or Tree Father, as long as they can start casting spells, they're pretty happy. That was it. Sorry. So he did charge with the Blazing Glory against them, and I fled, but they didn't. They kept they passed their panic check. So on the plus side is the Heath Hunters on the left can rally and then move because they're faint flight. So I'm not too concerned about that. He's also then moved up his Clawed Fiends to chaff. This is just in case by some freak chance he fluffs here, so that my Tree Father is chaffed and so are my Blade Dancers. So there's no chance of me going into the back of them there. And then he's moved his two Myrmidons up and kept the Veil Serpents back. So I can't go in charge here. So I'm going to have to choose the Blazing Glory. In that turn, as you can see, he blew through my Forest Rangers, but my Sentinels got away. So he didn't kill all of them with all those attacks and thunderstorms, and now they're running away, but I managed to rally them, so he's got to charge me again. In overruns, he got massively over, and he managed to get into my General's unit. But that's not awful at the moment because he hasn't got a great overrun opportunity. And I can still challenge him out with my champion. So they're not going anywhere this turn, and I've still got opportunities. It's a flying character, so until he gets the other ones in, I've still got a bit of time to save it. So what I think about doing is I don't want to go into the Blazing Glory yet, and it's possibly a mistake. What I want to do is shoot it off. I'll bring the Heath Hunters back over because they rally, and the two Tree Fathers, and that's so that I can mitigate the wounds there before giving him a choice of whether he's going to charge or not. I've chaffed him up with the Tree Fathers so he can't move around and charge them, and then I've kept the Heath Riders away. What I want to do is try and bring them back over here so that I can at least see if I can get a scoring unit on there and challenge the objective. My Centaurs and Magic here, they support the Blade Dancers who are charging the Fiends just to get rid of their chaff. I still think if they charge them, I still got an advantage as long as I get the right spells off. But I don't get any spells off this game, or this turn, sorry. But I do manage to take a couple of wounds off the Courtesan here. So with my Centaurs, they spike quite hard, so that was quite good. But in terms of shooting on the Blazing Glory, nothing. I've shot 2 entwining roots into him at strength 5 because he's in a wood, and then from soft cover from that, nothing. So still got 5 wounds, still really punchy, and now I've got to do it. On the plus side, he does kill my Dryad, but he took a wound last turn, and I think I get a wound through again this turn. So that's all she wrote, folks. So that's an interesting one. So it's not great at the moment. I was hoping to do a few wounds to Blazing Glory just to make sure I can kill it on next turn, but yeah, it's not going well, and I'm feeding stuff into the beast rather than actually accepting. I needed to back off at this point and just conserve points and try and ride it out. Yeah, as you can see, I wipe out the Clawed Fiends in this combat phase. So that's them gone, but it does mean I've got the Courtesan coming into me this turn, but I'm not too concerned about that. And then you can see down here, it's just the champion is dead in that unit there. In terms of his unit, the Blazing Glory is charged into the Dryad. But yes, his Blazing Glory has gone into the Centaurs and the Courtesan, and I didn't see this with the Veil Serpents. I should have angled a bit better to make sure they're in the front. But the Courtesan is in the front. You can see all the wounds there from the Centaurs. And yeah, and they're in the flank, and that's because they've got some sort of special ability that minuses my agility or something or other. I mean, it's annoying, but I know I'm going to do that. I'm using a 3+ Aegis, and I hope I spike enough and keep enough that I can, with the reroll, keep myself in there. Because and then on the counter, I slowly grind them down because I did quite a few wounds to him, so he's only got about 3 left. So I should be okay there. I think at this point, I'm thinking this is a good move. Otherwise, I think I'm going to lose. I'm going to have to feed him my. I don't have to feed him my general yet, but I may have to next turn, and they're going, and it's just looking pretty dodgy on this. He's turned his Succubi around, and that's to face my Centaurs. So I've got to move them next turn further out of range, and that's just to make sure that I can. I don't get charged. In terms of Demon Legion turn 3. Shooting his Eidolons, the ones I should have taken them out early on, but he's now killed my Heath Riders. That's me taking them off, which is quite unfortunate. But as you can see, that's the way it goes. I played it badly with them, and I probably should have just sent the Heath Hunters early up, just take out the Eidolons very quickly and mitigate, because they've taken out Heath Riders, a unit of Heath Hunters, and just plinked wounds off things. They've killed another one in shooting of the Heath Riders, Heath Hunters, because they're not very good at that. Because it doesn't affect my save at all, and there's not many of them. I mean, my shooting's good enough. I getting close. I'd be strength 4, so I should have just gone after them because they're a reasonable amount of points, and I could have done some damage there. In combat, that is my BSB out there with 2 wounds. So I chose 3+ Aegis. I played it right. He killed me and did 2 overruns. I think I made 1 out of 6 3+ saves. I was like, oh god. So it didn't work that well for me because I challenged him out with the BSB. I thought, actually, I've got with a 3+ Aegis. He's only got that and a Thunderstomp. I could get lucky, and that's. I think no, I do get my attacks back as well. So I think we attacked at the same time. No, we can't have. Oh, maybe the Centaurs did 4 wounds to him then. Either way, he's got 4 wounds on him, so they've done quite a lot. I did nothing to. I don't think I did anything to the Courtesan. And now I'm down by 5. So yeah, that's looking really bad in that combat because they're not stubborn because they're not all the way in the. I've not got 50% of footprint in the forest, and they haven't got a BSB anymore. So that didn't go very well, and so they got killed off. And then the Courtesan overran straight into the Tree Father himself. So it's not looking very good there at the moment. But hopefully the Tree Father could. We did talk about this because he was wondering about it, and we thought, okay, the Tree Father actually should kill him, the courtesan. So he was like, I'm taking a risk here, but we'll see how it goes. I could get some points here, and that's quite a lot. And then the Tree Father dies straight off. So he does 4 wounds to me. I do nothing back to him. Damn that 5+ Aegis. That didn't work for me. And then I ran. I think I ran about 4 inches or something. So a Blazing Glory with 3d6 on Swift Stride just overran him. So there goes my Tree Father as well. So I've lost my Blade Dancer Beers being Tree Father in this turn, which isn't good because now I've got this Blazing Glory that's going to come round. So I'm thinking about what to do here. Do I pull back completely and just try and run around for 3 turns? Well, 4 turns, 4 of my turns and 3 of his. Or do I try and pull something out of the bag? I decide to go and try and pull something out of the bag. So I charge my Heath Hunters into his Myrmidons in the centre. And this is the picture afterwards. So I was trying to think about this one. And I managed to, between that and that, get him down to 1 Myrmidon. Unfortunately, he'd rolled really well on his saves. So I and because they're unbreakable, so that was it. And then in combat, it was a bit of a fluff fest for the courtesan and the Tree Father. So he doesn't kill me, but I don't do any wounds to him either. So it's a bit of a nothing happen. But otherwise, I've moved over. I'm not. I think I should kill him off in next turn, and then I can charge over into the Veil Serpents and at least try and get some points, or at least come around with the courtesan. So again, it's not too bad. Oh, I did do 2 wounds to the Blazing Glory. Okay, so I did 2 wounds. He did 4, so with the charge, he's up by 5, up by 3, but still with stubborn 8, and then to run very far. You can see I've got about 3, yeah, I've got about 4 inches there. Anyway, right. This also happened in my face, so I sacrificed my general because I worked out I think I'd have lost steadfast. So he killed my general. I put another wound on the courtesan, so he's getting more dangerous. And also the Blazing Glory is now going to be able to charge in, and they're definitely going to break this turn. Because you can see there, just he can clip on. Well, even if I reform, he's gonna beat me up and break my steadfast instead. So Demon Legion's turn 4. What I tried to do here, as you can see, is move my Sentinels back last turn to keep them out of the range. It was a long charge. It was like an 11 on Swift Stride, but he got it in off the hill. Fair play. I should have put it massively further away. I turned everyone around. It wasn't the Tree Father. I turned everything around to try and these guys picked off 2 wounds off the Blazing Glory. I was hoping that I could take the Blazing Glory, keep my magic in range, and give him a long enough charge that he wouldn't make, and then maybe next turn I could do that. But what I should have done was just pushed as far away as possible and kept out of range, and then just kill the Blazing Glory over the long term. So that was the way it goes. But otherwise, he's come around there on combat, but I think between Thunderstomps and all his other stuff, I haven't got a champion or a general in there anymore. So the Dryads are dead. He's got the objective on this side, and this, as you can see, this was where I could have potentially moved back and spent 4 turns just picking stuff off with this. Maybe go after the Eidolons, maybe just keep plinking his Blazing Glory. Instead, I tried to support the center with that. So there it goes. Spoiler alert on magic. I do not kill this Myrmidon. I don't think he kills any one of me either. So we better go to a fluff fest there and just do nothing. But that was quite bad. But that was it. In terms of other news though, he doesn't kill the Tree Father either, but he does absolutely massacre this unit. Which is expected, and they run and they get chased down by there. So that's my Sentinels off. So I've only got the Tree Father and those Heath Hunters in the middle there, and he eats them. There's nothing left of the unit. He just kills them outright. So that's them gone. In combat again, he does 2 wounds to me. I do nothing to him. I think I have turned to face him in hope, but I think I die this turn. Yes. No, sorry, on my next turn. So I stick in combat here, kind of res 8. I was a bit disappointed not to kill him, but I think I'd gone for a big tree swacky thing, and I'd missed him by. I hit him, I wounded him, and I think he saved it with his Aegis. So love a good crush attack, but more importantly, that Myrmidon is somehow survived. So I wanted to kill it off. On his turn, sorry, on my turn, you can see it's not looking great. He's got the objective. It's just also running my 2 units here, so it's only a matter of time. And I think so. What he does is he kills me before I swing with the Tree Father. I just didn't make any 5-pagists and stuff like that, and he put enough spells on me that last turn that he was hitting on 2s and wounding on 4s, and then yeah, it didn't go very well. In terms of the Myrmidon, though, I do kill it, which is great. So I have picked up those points and another and oh, the Veil Serpent. Oh, and the Clawed Fiends. So I picked up those two, but otherwise they're a pretty big drubbing, as you can see there. It's not looking very good. My side, my dead pile is under the table here on my board, and it was looking pretty heavy. And that was end of turn 4. I think we called it there because I killed his Myrmidon, and then he had charges from his courtesan. And his courtesan, his fell summons, and his blazing glory into me. So I went, okay, we'll just call it there and give you the points because otherwise it would have been quite interesting. As in, wouldn't have been interesting. But I think the end result is my entire army and the objective. So it was a 20-0. I don't remember having. It's more points than that. That's the point score from last game. I don't remember the last time I got 20-0'd. It's a long time ago, which I'm pretty happy with. So it happens every now and again, and I got absolutely schooled by a master. So it was a really good lesson in how dangerous that Demon Legion list is, and it really is. It moves so quickly, and with Scout, it's just up in your face instantly. So you need to watch that. Interestingly, this is one of those times where I didn't follow my plan, and I suffered for it, rightly so. So I think, in hindsight, yeah, what I talked about at the very beginning was sorry if you're having problems seeing. So I should have just gone both my Heath Hunters. I've dropped there, he's dropped, and then what I should have done is kept the Blade Dancers there to hold them, with both Sentinels behind, and then the Forest Rangers just sort of looking to come round there, or maybe even the Forest Rangers, the one that then go off and just start pumping down here while my Heath Riders can chomp on here in the active. I can make a choice. Either way, I think with this much firepower on this side, he might not have put his Eidolons there, and even if he did, I can just run up and get them fairly quickly, and then just keep whittling his opponents down, so I don't have to worry about these scoring units over here, and I've just got to worry about his fast elements. And I may lose still, I may not be able to get into the objective, but at least I think probably with the shooting take a demon down, and then maybe one of his blazing glories and a few of his other bust stuff and Eidolon. So I think I could have come away with at least 5 or 6 points there, even without really understanding what was going on. But here I lined up for him quite far up, and I let him get round my flanks, so it wasn't very pretty. But anyway, so I was still on 14 points going into game 3. So it's probably on the more lower tables, but it was still very good fun. And it gave me a bit of time just to walk around and have a look at the other tables. It was quite nice to have a little bit of a break. So thank you very much for listening to another Battle Report of AAA Wargaming. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned a lot. I'm yeah, so I certainly did, especially about the demon list and that scouting opponent. Um, Aside for the channel, I'm still working out how to add in music to OBS. But if you have any other points that you'd like me to do, or something I do that you just find a little bit annoying, or something like that, just please put down. I won't take it personally, honestly. It's something I just want to make it something that everyone enjoys. So thank you very much, and have a good day.